Started tonight with our first guests. Our first two guests today, Ms. Lori Perlman. She's the Regional Legislative District Director of the League of Humane Voters, and with her is Richard Jaretsky, an animal rights activist. And I think this segment is going to be very timely because if people have been watching in the news, the circus, the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, is closing after 146 years, and a lot of this is due to the fact that the animal acts are not being used anymore because of the situations with the cruelty and things like this, so they're closing. And the people with me tonight, they're going to explain a little bit about what goes on in these type of situations. And so I'd just like to say hello to Lori, I'd like to say hello to Rich. And Lori, thank you for being with us tonight. I know there's a lot we could talk about.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ray, for having us here tonight. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to actually explain to the public what's going on with these animals in the circuses and the cruelties that do exist.
Right, and I understand you brought some photos with you. And our first question we're going to ask you is, what is the problem with wild and exotic animals in these traveling circuses?
Well, first of all, they're deprived of their natural environment. They're deprived of the basic needs that they require. They have no environmental enrichment. They spend up to 19 hours a day in either cages, chained up, or in the backs of trailers. You have to understand, when a circus sets up, the animals are the first ones to be loaded. When it sets up, they're the last ones, rather, to be unloaded for the show, and they're the first ones to be loaded up when the circus closes up for the night. So consequently, they spend most of their time in cages, in chains, and so on. You can see from the one picture, I don't know if you have it up now.
No, if we have the pictures, because
this is the yes, this is the lion in a cage, and this is where he spends up to 98% of his time. The next one is of an elephant, and you can see the elephant chained by not only the front leg but also the back leg. They are only able to move 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. In the wild, an elephant can travel up to anywhere from 5 to 5.5 miles an hour and cover up to 50 miles per day. This is a big contrast to what they can do.
So the audience can see that a little clearer, because as you're explaining, Lori, you know, these animals, they like to move around a lot.
Absolutely.
They're not meant to be caged 90% of their life or chained up like this. It goes against the grain of how they are naturally in the
Absolutely.
in the wild.
Not to mention how stressful it is for them. In this next photo, you can see an elephant. He's exhibiting stereotypic behavior of the constant confinement. He's butting his head up against, I don't know if it's a tent, a trailer, or whatever it is, but this is from the constant confinement and being chained. It just basically drives them crazy, is what happens. On the next, if you can just show the next photo.
Are these all photos forward?
Yeah, this is all for it. If you take a look at if you take a look at these tigers, there's 3 tigers in this photograph. Tigers and jaguars by nature are solitary animals. Unfortunately, when they are forced to be in a circus, they're put into a cage, a very small cage, and have to live among one another in such close quarters. Again, very stressful and very cruel for these animals.
Right, and animals, like human beings, they have anxieties.
Absolutely.
You know, and
absolutely.
I know in domestic animals, some of these anxieties manifest themselves in destructive behavior.
Yes.
And I don't want to get into that now, but I know that, you know, animals and stuff would attack after a while because they're confined and they become aggressive.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And George,
okay.
yeah, we'll go through all the pictures because it's good to see.
Well, this
is, you know, that's like my next question is, how do they train these animals?
Right.
And I guess...
Yeah, well, their practices are extremely cruel, to say the least. If you can see up in the left-hand corner is what is referred to as a bull hook. This bull hook has points on both ends. This is used for the training, and you can see down at the lower photo, the training of this baby elephant. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see the electric prod. They use this as well. On the next photo, you can see it's a little bit clearer, I think. This baby elephant he's tied with his back legs and as well as his front legs and his trunk, and he's being poked with this, jabbed with this bull hook. They're forcing him in an extremely painful and unnatural position, and these are tricks.
Right, and,
These are
and this
tricks
is just
to
to train them to do what
This
they
is
have
just to train
do.
them. They're not. You have
Right.
to understand. They're not. Domestic animals where we give them a cracker and they.
Yeah,
We train them.
yeah, I
to
can
sit.
see this one too with the monkey being
Here, this is
basically torture.
horrible. I don't know if you can see from the photo, but the bottom legs of the monkey are taped to these poles.
Right.
They're forcing him to walk on these poles, and the only way they can do it is tape the bottom legs and hold him up by the throat, the neck on a chain. Extremely painful and cruel, to say the least.
And I understand it's not like you get a dog at home and you train
Exactly.
them, you treat them,
Exactly.
or you give them some
Right.
compassion. They're actually brutalized and
Right.
tortured.
They're breaking
Exactly.
their spirit and will. That's what they're doing, trying to break the spirit, take their will away from them, so that they count on them for every bit of food, water, and that's how they get them to do what they want them to do.
Well, that Richard
The
brings up an
deprivation.
excellent point. They deprive them of water, they deprive them of food, and they use intimidation, along with all of the other tools, the bull hooks, the whips,
Right.
the chains, the electric prods. It's just anything they have at their disposal to inflict pain upon these
Right.
animals, they'll use it.
Almost like prisoner of war camps.
Exactly.
It's not pleasure for them, it's cruelty.
No, of course, of course.
Are there laws in place right now to protect these animals, or this is something that's just coming about?
Well, no, the USDA and APHIS are responsible to enforce the Animal Welfare Act, which is a very costly and time-consuming and unmanageable task.
Right.
In 2009, they had APHIS had 97 inspectors inspecting over 4,300 exhibitors. Okay, they performed 4,300 inspections with over 2,700 exhibitors. It's a very expensive and unmanageable task.
Right.
So what happens? They pass this now down to the locality. So the local places, the local localities that are hosting these circuses are now responsible financially
Right.
to take on this burden, and we're asking now our local animal control officers to take charge of protecting these animals, which they have zero knowledge, zero training, and zero resources to do so. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to the taxpayer.
I understand. Actually, this is just the tip of the iceberg on this, and there's a lot more, and I'm sure people at home watching this, you can Google this and get more involved, and I'm sure there's groups that'll, that advocate for this. So I appreciate Rich and Lori coming on. Hopefully this educates the people, about how cruel these animals can be treated. We'll be right back after these messages.